Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Kondrat, and it's a real pleasure for me to begin the February 2013 coaching call. And I want to thank you for tuning in. This will be recorded, so those of you that can't attend or you have to leave early, I will be sending you a link for a recording. And remember, the purpose of these coaching calls is to help you get the best out of your alternative treatments. And I really welcome your questions. If there's a particular topic you would like me to discuss, please email me. Today we're going to be talking about microcurrent, how you can improve your results. And also I'm going to be reviewing the information I learned at the recent Bascom Palmer Eye Institute meeting on advanced treatments of glaucoma. For those of you that are new to the webinar, if you look at your control panel on the right, there's a mechanism for you to type questions. And if anytime you have trouble hearing me, please type a question. There's another method which doesn't always work. You can kind of raise your hand with a question, just like being in class. So you just click the hand button, and I will see your hand go up, and then I will unmute you, and then you can ask me a question directly. So there's two mechanisms: either write a question to me or raise your hand, and I'll call on you. So let's get started here. Let me begin to play the slideshow. And here's a shot of the Florida Wellness Center. We're really making a lot of changes at the center to try to make it a much better place for you to visit, not only for a refresher program or for additional treatments. We now have about 50 goats, and we're beginning to milk the goats. And we had a major event. The goats escaped from the north fence line. And there's our ranch hand and Miss Nikki collecting the goats and getting them back into the pasture. I also have a tractor now, and this is to help with all the work around the ranch. So we're a lot of exciting changes at the Wellness Center. So microcurrent is a really important part of my practice, and I think it's a wonderful therapy. And these are some of the things that microcurrent does. It improves blood flow. And it always upsets me when other doctors are very critical of microcurrent, saying that there's no research or studies to indicate that microcurrent works. I really believe that microcurrent is going to be the future of medicine. It's just a wonderful modality, not only to help with your eyes and vision, but also to help with many other problems that we are faced with: musculoskeletal problems, detoxification, stress, etc. Microcurrent stimulates cellular activity, and I think this is one of the main mechanisms that microcurrent works in the treatment of eye disease, macular degeneration, and glaucoma. We're taking dysfunctional cells, cells that are not working properly, and we're kind of bringing them back to life. And when we bring them back to life, your vision improves. Microcurrent also reduces inflammation. I think inflammation is a component of any and all diseases. There's some type of inflammatory component, and when we reduce the inflammation, we can improve the function of the cell and improve your vision. Microcurrent reduces scar tissue, and this has been presented in a couple different articles. Sports figures use microcurrent to help reduce scar tissue. It also has a neuroprotective effect, and this can be really huge in helping to prevent additional loss with your eye. Those of you that have glaucoma and have maybe borderline pressure, or have decrease in circulation. There's been some studies done, animal studies, to show that it has a neuroprotective effect. It also stimulates stem cells. I was recently at a meeting when they were discussing different methods of stimulating stem cells, and this seems to be a hot topic. Stem cell surgery, having stem cells transplanted in the body, but microcurrent stimulates your existing stem cells. You have stem cells in your body, and we want to mobilize them to get them to function to help you. And we can probably add another modality, and I'm going to have to put this on the list. Microcurrent can help detox or detoxify your body. A naturopathic doctor, who's a friend of mine, has been doing some research, and she has demonstrated using the 6-hour urine test that using the microcurrent will definitely reduce elevated heavy metals in your body. Now, I don't think this should be viewed as a substitute for chelation and other methods, but all of you that have gone through the 3-day program have a detoxification program, and I'll be talking a little bit later on how we can customize it for a particular heavy metal. So microcurrent does a lot of wonderful things. And I just wanted to review some articles, and you'll be getting a copy of these slides so you can show people who are skeptical about microcurrent and who state that there's no research that microcurrent works. And this is just a small selection of articles out there that demonstrate the effectiveness of microcurrent. And these articles show that microcurrent improves vascular circulation. One was published in the Scandinavian Journal of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery, using the microcurrent in ischemic tissue during hand surgery, reconstructive hand surgery. There was an article published in the journal Angiology showing that microcurrent affects the arterial circulation of the lower extremities. And another one that was published in the European Heart Journal showed that it was effective in treating Raynaud's disease and diabetic polyneuropathy. Both of these conditions, there's a decrease in circulation of small blood vessels, and microcurrent has been shown to stimulate the blood flow. And of course, we know that blood flow is good. I think that a decrease in blood flow is a contributing factor to macular degeneration and glaucoma. And if we can improve the blood flow, it's going to have some positive results. Another article promoted healing of chronic ulceration. And I like this study because this is a group of people who did not respond to conventional treatment. And after microcurrent, they had an improvement of their non-healing ulcers. Probably the landmark article was written by Dr. Cheng, The Effects of Electrical Current on ATP Generation, Protein Synthesis, and Membrane Transport in Rat Skin. And this was published in the Clinical of Orthopedics and Related Research in 1982. And Dr. Cheng clearly showed that microcurrent dramatically improves cellular activity. And we're talking not 10 to 20%, but he showed that it improves cellular activity by as high as 500%. Yes, 500%. His study also showed that when microcurrent is applied at a high level of current, it has a decrease in effect. And this is important to note because it seems like the lower levels of current will have a more beneficial effect. We do not want high current. We want low levels of current. And this is one reason why the TENS machine, which delivers a high level of current, is not really good for the eye. We need low levels of current. And this is one of the reasons why the technology needs to be, well, the engineers tell me that when you deliver low levels of current, it's much harder from the electrical engineering point of view. It's easier to develop a system with high levels of current, but when you have a low level of current, um, you need to have more sophisticated engineering. This is an article that shows that microcurrent has a neuroprotective effect in the treatment of glaucoma. And this was published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. And they was a group of surgically induced glaucoma, and they studied the effect of microcurrent, different waveforms to protect the retina, and they showed that low frequency microcurrent had a protective effect, and the authors even concluded that low frequency microcurrent may be an alternative therapy in the treatment of glaucoma. And this really surprised me, and I was delighted to hear that. Microcurrent lowers intraocular pressure in rabbits. And I'm happy to say that I'm involved with a very important research project in Rome. In fact, I just got an email from Professor Russo that the laboratory, we were delayed in the research. We have the protocol already established. We're waiting for government approval so we can begin to study with animals. Apparently, there's a lot of red tape in Italy, just like there is in the United States, to get approval. And this is going to be a very, very exciting project to show the positive effects of microcurrent in an animal model of macular degeneration. Microcurrent, I talked about microcurrent reducing inflammation and reducing scar tissue. It was widely used by the UPS cycling team. Lance Armstrong used microcurrent. Of course, unfortunately, he used other modalities besides microcurrent, which was illegal. But microcurrent is illegal in the cycling world. Here's a picture of two other athletes on the right, my wife and myself. When we finished the Marine Corps marathon, we were very, very sore. And after a 30-minute application of microcurrent, it dramatically reduced our aches and pains. And we used an inflammation program, and that's available for many of you as a fifth program on your machine. And there's another marathon my wife and I did, the Maratona di Roma, which is a wonderful marathon. And I think microcurrent saved me anyway. I'm 62 years old, and I really didn't have time to train for the marathon, but it was a lot of fun, and microcurrent helped me. I began my interest when I found out about Sam Snead and his dramatic improvement, and this was in the 90s. And here's a picture of me, a much younger Dr. Condrad, treating Sam Snead, and Sam, in exchange for treating him, gave me golf lessons. And this is the book that I published, Microcurrent Stimulation Miracle Eye Cure. If you're interested in more information on microcurrent, this is a great book. It goes through the history of microcurrent, some of the electrophysiology, animal studies, etc. One of the greatest advances in microcurrent was frequency-specific microcurrent. For the longest time, we just used a general current, maybe with one or two different frequency pairs. And it was felt that the low frequency uh, uh, helped generate healing, and the higher frequency reduced inflammation. So essentially, we only had two frequencies. Now, doctors are interested in this called frequency specific, where we try to match the frequency of the microcurrent to the tissue, much like a tuning fork. If you have two tuning forks and both of them are like a C sharp tuning fork, they'll vibrate a certain way, and there'll be a resonance harmony. They'll support each other, and this support will help stimulate healing. And at the same time, we look at the pathology. So there's also frequencies for the pathology, like hemorrhage, inflammation, scar tissue. So for the pathology, we send a frequency also, but it is a disharmonious frequency to try to disrupt it. So the thinking is that um, using these more specific frequencies, we're able to get much better results. And there have been some studies to show that the frequency specific can obtain better results. And since I've been using the frequency specific, my results have been considerably better than usually using just the standard frequencies. And this is the old machine that we use. It's called the Blue Box. And you can see there's a lot of knobs on this machine. And when we did treatments before, 10, 15 years ago, we had to dial in the frequency pairs, run them for a minute, and then change the dials on the machine. So every time a patient had a treatment, they would need a different frequency pair. And we would have a technician in each room assisting the patient for treatment. But I felt that there would be a better way. And my research, in fact, I attended the Arizona State University School of Electrical Engineering for a year to try to find out, can we actually make a programmable machine, which, due to the brilliance of Ning Wu, we did develop a machine that we're able to program the frequency pairs, and that's what all of you are using. So the advantage is you have a customized machine with specific frequency pairs for your particular eye problem, and then we're also able to change these frequency pairs as your condition changes. This is a list of some general protocols, and you can see we have hundreds of general protocols for your body: adrenal support, arthritis, back pain, cervical, dental tooth, diabetic retinopathy, fibromyalgia, hypertension, irritable bowel syndrome, you name it. And it's exciting because these protocols are available because of changes in the Inspirstar machine. We're now able to program 10 different protocols on your machine. Most of you only have 5. And usually at the beginning, I only like to give you 5 because all these additional protocols just confuse you. But once you've used the machine for a couple months, we do offer the option of updating your machine with these protocols. There is a small reprogramming fee for each protocol that's added to your machine, and we can always change these. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about an exciting workshop that we're going to be having called the Level 1 Training for the Inspirstar. And this is open both for patients, practitioners, and doctors who want to learn more about the microcurrent machine and programs. And these are a list of protocols for the eye. And this is just a general list because in each protocol, we can change some of the other parameters. Like, for example, we have a protocol for macular degeneration, dry, and detox. We can change the polarity, we can change the current, we can change the waveform. And all this is very exciting for me because we like to change these subtle parameters to try to help you get the best results. And I have found typically that after 6 months or a year, the body begins to get used to a certain protocol or microcurrent pattern. And sometimes it's necessary to change it just to, I guess, challenge the body and to help you get better results. So if you have been doing microcurrent for 6 months or so and you feel you've reached a plateau, let the office know and we'll reprogram your machine. And of course, this is one of the reasons why we have established a continued care program. The continued care program is a way that I can continue to work with you, updating your protocols over time, and so you get the latest technology. And here's the picture of the Inspirstar programmable microcurrent machine. It's much smaller than that larger machine that I showed. The larger machine that I showed is a $10,000 machine, which weighs about 20-some pounds and is very bulky. But believe it or not, this small programmable machine probably has more power and more versatility than a larger machine. And this is due to computer technology. We know now that the iPhones do so much more, that the iPhone today is just as powerful as an IBM computer was about 10 years ago. And you can see that we have 5 different buttons for changing the protocols. And we can add 5 more protocols. We can add up to 10 on your machine. One of the most important treatments that I feel is the detox and the stress. And this is my niece, Kristen, getting a stress program. And the stress program is very simple. All you need to do is hold the gloves, and you can do this same method for the detox program. As I mentioned, we do have customized programs now for the detox. So if you do have elevated heavy metals, you might want to contact the office, and we can reprogram your machine for the specific heavy metal that you have. As you know, there's one of 3 ways in doing these body programs that Kristen is doing. One is simply to hold the gloves in your hand. The second is to wrap the glove in the washcloth and place it on your abdomen, like so. And the third way is, if you enjoy soaking in a hot tub or a bathtub, you can actually put the glove and cable in the water. I know some of you might be a little nervous about this because your mother told you never take electrical equipment in the bathtub, but this is one of my favorite ways. My wife and I enjoy going into the hot tub in the evening after a long day, and we enjoy soaking, and sometimes we'll run a stress program or a detox program. And just to update you on doing your eye program, we're kind of particular about how you do your eye program. This is the washcloth folded in 1/3, going over the eye, and one on the back of the head. When you put the one on the back of the head, it's important that you don't make a contact with a lot of hair, because hair can be an insulator. It's much better that you put it by the neck. Also, it's important that the washcloths do not touch. If they do touch hair, that can kind of produce the current from not going through your eyes, but going from one washcloth to the other. So don't forget now, if you do have any questions, either raise your hand, and I'm checking here, and I think that we have a question. Let's see. Shripad, do you have a question? I don't know if we have a good connection here. I don't hear you. Your hand is up, Shripad. Okay, I guess it was by mistake. So remember, the options to ask a question are to raise your hand or simply type a question in the question box, and then I'll receive it and I can answer your question. Now, many of you have been doing microcurrent, and maybe you had an initial improvement, and maybe now you've reached a plateau, or you feel that the microcurrent is not working as well as it initially did. So I'd like to talk briefly about some important items that will help you get the best success with microcurrent. And those of you that know me, I harp all the time about good nutrition. Good nutrition is essential. You are what you eat. Food is your best medicine. Even though I do recommend vitamins, I think that vitamins should not be considered a shortcut for good nutrition. We also emphasize adequate zinc levels. Microcurrent will not work effectively if your zinc levels are not adequate. And many of you have low zinc levels and you're taking supplemental zinc, but be patient. Sometimes it takes quite some time for the zinc levels to get up to a good functioning level. But remember, it's more than just taking zinc. You need to have a good balanced diet. Proper hydration is important. Reducing stress, eliminating heavy metals, and proper oxygenation. And what I like to do is to go through each one of these briefly and go over some pointers. Now, in terms of good nutrition, you know that I'm a big advocate of our 70-30 rule, and that is 70% of your diet should be organic, raw, living food. The other 30% should still be organic, but this can be food that is cooked or steamed. I enjoy a glass of red wine now and then and coffee, but I always make sure the wine is organic and the coffee's organic. Same thing with meat. Um, an occasional steak or chicken, but make sure it's organic and free ranged. And that's one thing that we're doing at the center. Our Healing the Eye Center in Florida is completely organic. We follow the national standards of organic food. So all of our animals are organic, the chickens, the goats. So when you visit us, we hope to have an extremely healthy environment for you. Avoid genetically modified organisms, GMO food. Um, it's shocking what's happening to our country in terms of the genetically modified food, which I feel is adversely affecting our health. Also, avoid high fructose corn syrup. I think this is also contributing to poor health. The name of the game is try to avoid food that has toxins, pesticides, preservatives, and typically food that has a label on it are food that you should avoid. I'm a firm believer the best way to good health is good nutrition. The zinc taste test is a simple test that you can use to determine if you have adequate levels of zinc. You squirt a dropper full under your tongue and you record the taste, the immediate taste, and what happens after 10 seconds. If you have adequate zinc levels, it should taste horrible immediately and get worse. So if you have a slight metallic taste, your zinc levels are not adequate. One way to get your zinc levels up, besides eating a good balanced diet, is by taking the proper form of zinc. And I like chelated zinc, not zinc oxide. And we recommend zinc picolinate. The Mars cocktail is also a wonderful way. This is an IV nutritional formula that has zinc. And when you take something IV, you know that it goes directly into your body. Proper hydration is essential to get good results with microcurrent. Our rule of thumb is 1/2 of your body weight in ounces of water. And we need hydration for good conduction. If you're dehydrated, which many of you are, the microcurrent is not going to flow properly through your body. Also, good hydration helps to eliminate toxins. The big problem we're all faced with is where can we find a good source of water? And I'm a firm believer that reverse osmosis is one of the best ways. Um, right now, even though we have an exceptionally good source of water at the Wellness Center, my wife and I are investigating and getting a reverse osmosis unit, and they run anywhere from $200 to $300. It's installed under your kitchen sink, and it's a way of ensuring that you have the best quality water. Reducing stress. Your body will not heal if it's in a sympathetic state or the fight or flight. You got to reduce stress. When you're in a sympathetic state, your body shuts down the reparative process. It shuts down your digestive processes. So if you have problems with indigestion, diarrhea, constipation, trouble sleeping at night, you are living in a stress state. Um, a simple way to reduce the stress is the stress program on the microcurrent machine. It's a simple program, 20 minutes, and it can help balance your body. And I'm really surprised at the number of people I find who have never used a stress program. They're treating their eye, but in many cases, the stress program may be the best program. Light therapy is an excellent way, and all of you have the equipment to do light therapy, so don't neglect your light therapy. Other methods, there are many methods. They include deep breathing, meditation, prayer, positive affirmation, and this is so essential. You know, um, our emotions and our thoughts can be very harmful to us. If you dwell on something, you're giving it energy. So if you're dwelling on eye problems, vision loss, and you have a lot of fears and anxiety, you're actually putting negative energy and you're helping that to grow. And one of my favorite patients was a gentleman from New Mexico. He came to the program and he said, Dr. Condrad, I no longer have macular degeneration. I have macular regeneration. And I kind of like that because it changes his whole perspective. His eyes aren't degenerating, they're regenerating. So I would encourage you to change your mental perspective about your disease. Eliminate heavy metals. And there are many reasons for this. Heavy metals are extremely toxic in your body. All of you should have done the 6-hour urine test for heavy metals. And if your heavy metals are elevated, you need to address the problem. And I'm planning at a future webinar to talk in detail about all the ways that we can reduce heavy metals. But one of the best ways of reducing heavy metals is keeping them out of your body. Heavy metals also compete with zinc. Many of you have low zinc levels, and you're taking 100 milligrams of zinc every day. You're getting the Mars cocktail, but you wonder why your zinc is still low. Well, if your lead is off the chart and your mercury is high, you got to reduce them to make room for the zinc. The lead and mercury are large molecules which compete for the cellular sites of the zinc. Heavy metals are toxic to the eye. There's no question about that. And it is essential that if you do have heavy metals, we reduce those. The 6-hour urine test is the best way. Just the other day, I got a urine test from a patient, and there was no provocative testing done. The only thing that was done was just a urine test. And it's going to be negative because if you do have heavy metals, those heavy metals are going to be in your blood, are not in your blood, they're going to be in your bone, your fat, your eye, and your neurological tissue. They're not going to be in your blood. The heavy metals attracted to the bone, fat, neurological tissue. So you need to do the 6-hour test. And the 6-hour test will draw the heavy metals out of your body so we find out exactly what's going on. Another important topic is proper oxygenation. And microcurrent will improve the oxygenation because it improves your blood flow. But another method is to actually improve the oxygen concentration of your blood. Many of you, and I'm looking at this, have sleep apnea or low oxygen concentrations at night. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about it. It's a very simple test to see if you have sleep apnea or low oxygen concentrations at night. This could be contributing to your visual loss. At the Healing the Eye Center in Florida, we do have a hyperbaric chamber. I also recommend exercise with oxygen therapy and also oxidative therapies, ozone. All these can help improve the oxygen concentration in your body. And I'm planning to have another webinar, and I'll talk in detail about all these things. All right. Okay, so are there any questions about microcurrent? If there aren't any questions, I'd like to move on and talk a little bit about the results of an international meeting I attended at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute. And this is one of the leading eye hospitals in the country. And it's about a 4-hour drive from the Healing the Eye Center in Florida, and my wife and I went down for the weekend to attend this meeting. And these are some key points that I'd like to share with you, and these key points primarily have to deal with glaucoma, but I do think that they're applicable also for macular degeneration and other eye problems. It was really shocking that there has been no significant advance in the treatment of glaucoma since 1996. Can you believe it? Since Zalatan, latanoprost, a prostaglandin analog, was introduced to treat glaucoma. The other thing I learned at this meeting, there are no eye drops that stop the progression of glaucoma. All studies show they just slow the visual loss. And I think the same thing can be said regarding macular degeneration. All the laser injections and other therapies that the traditional eye doctors do really don't stop the progression. And it's interesting because this meeting focused on alternative treatments, which I was very surprised because finally traditional eye doctors are beginning to look at alternative treatments. There was a gentleman that spoke, he's a glaucoma researcher, and he said that, and he has glaucoma, he said that if he knew that he was going to lose vision, he would have done everything possible to preserve his vision. And that's one thing, unfortunately, that traditional Western eye doctors do not do. They don't advise patients to do all the things that I'm advising you to do to improve your health, to improve your oxygenation, to improve your circulation, improve your diet, improve your hydration, because all these things can help you save your vision and preserve your vision. The big focus at the meeting was the neuroprotective effect of treating eye disease. We got to protect these neurons, these ganglion cells, these retinal cells from dying. And that's one thing that I'm very pleased that microcurrent, ozone therapy, oxygen therapies do. They help preserve, they help improve the functioning of these cells. A presenter, Dr. Hannah Kim from the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, talked about sleep apnea as a contributing factor to the loss of vision in people with eye disease. And we are beginning to use a nocturnal pulse oximeter at the Healing the Eye Center. And this is the device, a very simple device that you can put on your finger, and you actually get a recording overnight of your oxygen saturation. So if your oxygen saturation drops during the night, you know that this could be contributing to your visual loss. And these devices are fairly inexpensive. You could buy one for $130 on Amazon.com or Google. It's a fairly simple device to use. But those of you that might be planning a visit to the Healing the Eye Center, I would encourage you to get a recording done while you're there, so we know for certain if your oxygen concentration is dropping at night, and this could be contributing to your eye problem. There was also a doctor from Bascom Palmer that talked about the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen. And this is something that we've been doing at the Healing the Eye Center for quite a long time, the hyperbaric oxygen. But an easier method is the exercise with oxygen therapy. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be devoting an entire webinar talking about this. Now, the exercise with oxygen therapy, and here's a picture of our hyperbaric chamber. Exercise with oxygen, many alternative doctors feel that this can be just as effective, where you either get a tank of oxygen or an oxygen generator, and you wear a mask as you're exercising, and this helps boost the oxygen concentration in your body. Now, for the longest time, I felt that this is something that had to be done all the time. But it seems like after 10 to 20 treatments, it has a longer lasting effect. So it kind of resets the oxygenation of your body, your blood, which has a longer lasting effect. So it isn't something that you have to do all the time, but I think those of you that do enjoy exercising, you have exercise equipment in your home, this may be a great adjunctive treatment to either rent an oxygen tank or invest in an oxygen generator. Another exciting topic was Dr. Vincenzo Parisi from Italy talked about acetylcholine, and this is an approved dietary substance that it seemed to increase a brain chemical called phosphatidylcholine. Now, I've been using intravenous phosphatidylcholine for people with severe visual loss, and it seems to help with optic nerve regeneration. So I was just really delighted to hear that an improved food substance can cause an increase in phosphatidylcholine. And the study that Dr. Parisi did showed that people with visual field loss and optic nerve damage actually had an improvement on this supplement. So this is great. You can buy this online. I am investigating some manufacturers to produce a high quality of the acetylcholine. And at this point, I'm recommending between 200 and 600 milligrams a day, although there have been some reports that a higher dose was used in a couple of studies. But this is new to me, and I think that this is something to be considered for those of you that do have glaucoma or macular degeneration. Now, this presentation was music to my ears. Dr. Bernhard Sabel from Germany presented an article treating optic neuropathy with microcurrent. He called it non-invasive alternating current stimulation, which is another way of describing microcurrent. And his study showed that this current did improve visual function in patients with optic nerve damage. So this was a very, very exciting meeting for me, and I'm really happy to hear that one of the major eye institutions in the country, Bascom Palmer, they're beginning to look at alternative treatments. And I spoke with the department chairman of glaucoma, and I submitted a research project for him. So there's a chance that I might be doing some research at Bascom Palmer. So I would like to invite you to join us. And this is exciting because all of you that have completed a 3-day program and who are involved with the continued care do get a 20% discount on all the workshops that are being held at the Healing the Eye Center. And we plan to offer several microcurrent workshops during the center. And this is our level 1 training for the Inspirstar. And this is a unique opportunity to learn the full scope of the Inspirstar microcurrent machine, both with myself and Ning Wu, who's the developer. And this is important for you if you have a machine, especially if you want to learn more about additional protocols, different ways you can utilize the machine to help you and your family. And we're going to be talking about learning important basics of frequency selection, how to use the existing Inspirstar protocols, and I showed you a collection of close to 100 different protocols that are available, how to improve results with the microcurrent. We're going to have live demonstrations and workshops. So this workshop is both for the practitioner and the patient who's interested in learning more about microcurrent. And we're having a welcome dinner and orientation April the 5th, 6 p.m. by the pool, and the workshop will be Saturday and Sunday. The tuition is $595. That includes all your meals, not your accommodations, but all your meals. And as I mentioned, that this workshop, because you have completed the 3-day program or you're in the continued care, you will get a 20% discount on the tuition, which goes towards your meals. So if you are interested, please give the office a call. We're limiting this workshop to 20 people. And if you are a licensed practitioner, then you will get qualified then to actually prescribe the Inspirstar machine to your patients. But you have to be a licensed practitioner in your state. Um, but I do think that this seminar will be very valuable for patients who want to learn more about the microcurrent machine and its application. And we also have our annual CASE conference, which is another conference at the end of the year in October, which also deals with microcurrent. But that conference is a little bit more advanced. We have practitioners come from all over the world who present information. Now, the next coaching webinar will be March the 4th, and I'm going to be talking about my favorite subject, homeopathy. And also, I'm going to be talking about the results from the American Institute of Homeopathy meeting. My wife and I are going to that meeting. It's this weekend. In fact, we're in San Francisco right now visiting family, and we're going to be off to the meeting this weekend. And this is another phenomenal international meeting, learning the latest in homeopathy. And at the March coaching webinar, I'm going to be giving you just a general overview of homeopathy and also talk to you about the results from the American Institute of Homeopathy meeting, which incidentally is the oldest medical organization in the United States. It's much older than the American Medical Association. So, do you have any questions? I'd like to entertain questions now. Let's see. So, there's two ways that you can ask a question. One is to click your hand button, raise your hand like you're in class. And the second way is type a question. So I don't see any questions here. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. Questions? Well, if there are no questions, I'll be sending all of you a link for the recording, and also you'll be getting a copy of all the slides for your reference. And once again, I want to thank all of you for attending, and I look forward for you joining me next month for the coaching webinar when we're going to be talking about homeopathy. And if any of you have an additional topic you would like me to cover, please email me the topic and I'll put together a small presentation. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a good week and good health and clear vision until we talk again. Thank you.